Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Ocean's Pit, the little show about big things. I hope you guys are having a great day today. Hope you had an incredible weekend because we got a great show lined up for you today. It's beautiful outside. Spring is right here, and what better way to start off with Ocean's Pit, the little show about big things. Monday through Friday, 12 o'clock noon, 12 to 1, a little lunchtime fun. Check the website, TonyOceanMusic.com, and give us a call at 847-769-8609 to book a show, folks. We had an incredible weekend. Chicago Prime was fantastic. Thank you, Daryl Armenstadt. Saturday, we had two shows on Saturday, 5 o'clock to 7:15, 5:30 to 7:15. We were at Moretti's in Rosemont. Happy birthday went out to Esther, and a great job, Jerry Jams Renda. Later on that evening, we were off at Taverna on Division. Great Italian restaurant. We all know Greg and Jennifer, great place. Great job, Double T and Jeff Dubray. So it was a great night. Sunday off, all we did, folks, is sit home and relax. It was brunch day with the family. All the kids came over, and we were celebrating my sister Tanya's birthday. So it was a lot of fun. Everybody cooked, and we sat and had a good time. It's always good to have fun with family. You're watching Ocean's Pit, little show about big things. Let's get to the sponsors before we tell you about what's going on in today's show. Our big sponsors, folks, and the one and only Ace Hardware. That's right. Ace Hardware Norwich, Ace Hardware Des Plaines, Ace Hardware Evergreen Park, and Ace Hardware Warrenville. Remember, folks, they've been helping neighbors before there were neighborhoods. That's Ace Hardware. Now, with spring in the air, folks, we need you to remember one thing. When you're going into any of these Ace Hardware stores, these four that we just mentioned, Raffaello and Jackie, go up to them and say, hey, I want to grill my ace off. That's right. I want to grill my ace off. When you say grill my ace off, you're going to get $20 off any grill you purchase from Ace Hardware. Tell them Ocean's Pit sent you. That's right. Ace Hardware, helping neighbors before they were neighborhoods. And that's what it's about, man. Buying local and shopping local. Now, we have an incredible show for you guys today. In life, we all know, and it seems like it's in life, you have some great people in your life that come into your life that are not family, but they become family, sort of like great friends. And it's so important to remember those friends when they do something good for you. You know what I mean? Or when you've been with them, it's always important to have some. Now, we have two guests on today, provided the internet and everything works well. This past weekend I lost two very dear friends. Mr. Bill Robinette was a great friend. He used to manage Stay Out Discotheque when I was a kid. So um, he was always there for us. He was there for everybody who came in to Stay Out. That's why you came in. It was a place to be after all the other bars closed. But Stay Out we went to. And was a great musician in the Stay Out band. And I had all my bands. We used to showcase there. Right before we did Star Search, our band Big Bang Rodeo, we showcased there for Arista Records. And Mr. Bill gave us the room. He goes, go ahead, do what you got to do. So he was always a great guy. And we lost him. And then we lost the great Bill Zemi yesterday, a great author, a great writer for Esquire magazine, wrote the Regis Philbin book, uh, wrote the Frank Sinatra book, The Way You Wear Your Hat, where we actually did the tour with. He was working on a Johnny Carson book, which was actually authorized by the Johnny Carson family, but unfortunately he never got to finish it, the great Bill Zemi. So on the show today, in a couple minutes, we're going to bring on Tim Robinette, which was the son of Mr. Bill. And then later on, the second half of the show, we're going to bring on B.J. Murray, direct from New York City, to talk about the great Bill Zemi, which a great guy. So it's going to be a tough show today because we lost some good guys. Now, we have a GoFundMe page for Mr. Bill. It's been up there for a couple days. It's doing pretty good, but we need more. We need more to help out the family. Darlene is an incredible lady, and the kids, Tim and Tracy. So it's a good family, and see what you can do, and we really do appreciate that. But before we bring them on, folks, we got a lot of things to talk about. It is Monday, March 27th. We got a busy week, folks. First of all, happy International Joe Day to all the Joes out there. God bless you. Happy International Joe Day. Absolutely. We also, folks, we got a busy week. This Wednesday, we'll be at Rosario's in Roselle. It is a 7 o'clock hit with Double T, Tony Toto. Thursday, we're returning to my own hometown, old hometown of Elmwood Park. We'll be at Donnie G's on Thursday, 7 o'clock with Jerry Jams Renda. Going into Saturday, April 1st, we'll be going to Norton's in Highland Park and the return of Rhino Ryan this Saturday, April 1st. And April 2nd, Sunday, will be at Caliendo's for the very first time in Winfield, Illinois, and that's with Mr. Jeff Dubray. So it's going to be a busy week for us, folks, and a lot of good things to talk about. Let's bring some sponsors on, some more sponsors before we bring up our very first guest. If you're looking for a great lawyer, folks, McCampbell, attorney at law, a statewide law practice that is client-focused and results-driven. That's McCampbell Law Group. My good buddy Roy. Check him out at 708-275-4264. My wife's company, you know it, increasing profits while reducing credit card fees. If your company works with credit cards, this is the company you want to use, Laura Ocean Solutions. If you love this company, folks, you'll never have to shop again with Laura Ocean Solutions. Check it out, Deutsch Power Center. Now, Deutsch Power Center is out of Elgin, Illinois. They've been servicing the construction and diesel industry for the last 100 years. That's Deutsch Power Center. Give them a call at 224-276-6550. And let's not forget our good buddies from Don Esteban Cigars out of Tarpon Springs, Florida. Hand rolled, delivered right to your home. Call Javier at 727-366-7536 and let them know you want the Tony Ocean special, and you get those hand rolled cigars. All right, folks, you can see us on 5 different social media formats, and you guys know that already. If you're watching us right now on the Tony Ocean Show Facebook page, we're also on the Mo Carrara Facebook page, which is my personal page. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, and we're also on our brand new Ocean's Pit Facebook page. So please, you're watching the show, guys, share it. Push the button, share it, let everybody know about the little show about big things. And we talk about everything, folks. We have guests Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and every show is dedicated to the first responders and also dedicated to people like you who spend time and watch this show every day at 12 o'clock. And it's on. If you don't see it at 12, you can see it on because they stay on my pages all the time. So you can watch all the great shows that have been on. And so we really appreciate it. Now, Friday, we had a great guest on, my good friend Carol Bandolino. She was with Fox News and Steve Dahl, and she owns a great restaurant called Uptown in Plainfield. And her and her husband, Bobby, own a music store called Bandolino Encore Music in Shorewood. So that was a great guest having her on, and all talking about stories about Channel 32 and Steve Dahl and all that other good stuff. But in the meantime, let's get right to the point. My guest today was kind enough to come on. You know, usually when I've had guests on before, sometimes it's hard when a family member passes away. Sometimes it's hard to want to be talk to the public and stuff like that. And I never met Tim. I've known of Tim, of course, of Mr. Bill, but he reached out to me after his father passed away, and Mr. Bill passed away in his sleep quietly. And I know he was suffering for a hell of a long time, man. A hell of a long time. And we talked to him maybe 2 weeks ago. We were going to do a benefit for him, and we still are. We're trying to come up with another place now. We did one a couple years back in Rosati's. I think it was in Streamwood, and Bill had the band, and and Bob Caesar, and I was the MC, and people came and jammed, and we did what Bill likes to do. He loves playing music. You know, if he wasn't spending time with his kids and playing Santa during the holiday season. So we're trying to plan another one, me and my buddy Rich, which is very great friend Rich with Mr. Bill, to put another benefit together for a friend. So it was kind enough for Tim Romanette to give us his time. So let's bring on Tim. Tim Romanette, are you there, sir?
I'm here. How you doing today?
Good, Tim. How are you doing, sir?
I'm pretty good. Tracy's here with me as well. Sorry, my phone's falling.
That's okay.
Tracy's here with me as well. She can wave.
Okay. Hi, Tracy. How you doing?
Good.
First of all, I want to say I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm sure you guys are. Of course, I don't know how you even. Every time I talk to him, and we talk at least once or twice a month. Hey, how you doing? What's going on? Oh, Tony, I'm back in the hospital again. Last time he was having trouble breathing, and it was just I knew your father about 35 years ago. I was 16 years old, used to hang out at Stay Out Disco, which probably half of the people that are watching right now used to go to Stay Out Disco too, the one on Mannheim Road. And then later on, they opened one in Hanover Park called Stay Out West. But he was always very gracious to everybody that came in, especially us. You know, we were young getting in there and sneaking in there at a certain age. You know, we weren't probably supposed to be there at a certain age. But back then, you know, at Stone Park, everything could go. The rules were a little different back then than they are now.
Yes,
But
they were.
I got to showcase all my bands there. We did Star Search and we did the showcase for Arista Records there. And when they had the best story, uh, Mr. Bill calls me and says, "Hey, you've always had celebrities in there, whether they were movie celebrities, but he was really big with the wrestlers that would come in and all the time, and I got to meet everybody there. But this was like a Tuesday night, and usually it's dead on Tuesday night. So he goes, Tony, we got Mo Howard's daughter and Larry Fine's daughter from the Three Stooges because they just wrote a book on their father. So they're having a trivia question, a trivia contest, and Pepper's Waterbeds is the big first prize is a waterbed. I mean, the bed,
I remember that.
Yeah.
and everything, the dresser. I mean, everything. So it was like 10 contestants. It was down to me and another guy, Mike, a good friend of mine, Mikey D. And I guessed the right question because I read the two books. I don't know if Mikey did, but I read the books, and I won. So, but everything got to do with him. And how are you guys doing? How's Darlene? How's the family doing right now?
Oh, Tracy, you want to answer?
It's a sorry, I'm not on camera because
That's okay. That's
I'm a
okay.
girl, and if I know anything from growing up with my father, you do not take a stage, a platform, or anything else unless you're looking pretty good. So
Yeah, and your father always looked dapper in that tuxedo, man.
he
Oh,
did,
yeah.
he
He
did,
always looked incredible.
and I am,
What
and I
incredible
am
Santa
not.
Claus. Hey, when he was Santa Claus, he really looked like the real deal.
I know I did his beard,
The
you
beard
know,
was great. Absolutely.
and
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
um, I mean, we're doing the best we can. He was larger than life, and it's a big hole. But all of the messages and stuff that are coming in from people, I actually do go and read through them, and that's nice. It's nice to see how many people he touched and how many people loved him. So they actually do help, and I read them to my mom. So I mean, we actually are reading. Whoops, we actually are
Sorry,
reading.
technical difficulty.
It's okay.
We actually are reading the stuff that people are saying, and that's a comfort for us. But at the end of the day, he was so many different things, and I lived an incredible childhood that is so full of memories. I mean, it's amazing. Um, I'm very much my father's daughter, so I'm gonna pull myself up by the bootstraps and move forward.
Yeah.
And I'll do that because that's what he would want. He doesn't want anybody, to dwell on it and to linger in it. It's okay to walk through the dark as long as you are only passing through. You just can't stay there.
No,
And
yeah. I mean, it's got to be difficult. And like I said,
it is.
growing up when he was working in the bars, and let's be honest, he's coming home and you guys are probably waking up. Yeah, he was coming home because I used to close the place with him. We'd walk out
Oh yeah.
at 5 in the morning, so he'd have to go home. And what was that kind of like, knowing that your dad is never home at night?
My mom was a strong woman. So I mean, we were never worried or uncomfortable. I mean, my dad was the nightlife, and I mean, I grew up. For me, it was my whole life was like that. Um, even prior to him moving to Illinois, he was out all the time. He worked with, selling sound systems for the stage, and
Sure.
so he was gone a lot. But I'll tell you, when he was present, he was amazing. I mean, we never felt like, oh gosh, we never see dad. Oh no, that man, he was wild. You know, he was just as boisterous and charismatic at home as he was, on the stage or at the bar or, whatever adventure he was on in the moment. He was just like that at home. Like what you guys knew was genuinely him. I mean, he was amazing. He, would scare the scare me to within an inch of my life watching horror films because he thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait for those moments. Michael Myers sits up behind the couch. There comes Dad.
Yep.
Here comes Dad.
Uh,
There you go.
Yeah, sit up behind the couch and booga booga booga. Yeah, he was exactly how you would imagine somebody like that being as a dad. I mean, his sense of humor was incredible. If you were upset, you weren't upset long. If you were crying, you weren't crying long.
Yeah.
And for me personally, he loved to spar with me. I mean, it was just he loved that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go full confession here. When Tim was about 4 years old or so, we were playing, and we lived in a condo then. And downstairs there was like a weight room with the big mats and all that stuff. And all of us used to go down there and play. And we were all spinning each other, holding our hands and spinning. And Tim, he was like he was slippery. His hands were slick. So I launched him. And, when he hit the ground, he started to cry. He went upstairs. He ratted me out to my mom. And I was fixing to get, my butt cracked. And my dad, my dad came and said, well, what happened? And I told him, I said, it's not my fault. And he was like, well, were you spinning him? And I said, well, yeah. And he said, did you let him go? And I said, well, not on purpose. And he said, did he hit the ground? And I said, he did. And I said, but really, it's an act of God because it's not me that threw him on the ground. It was gravity.
There you go. So the story,
Yeah.
I mean, there you go. I mean, there was some interesting stuff about your dad. Tim or Tracy, we have Bill and Tracy, the daughter and son of the late Mr. Bill Romanette. His name was Bill Romanette, but why Mr. Bill? Where did that come from? From the TV show or from the Saturday Night Live character? Why Mr. Bill? How come they just didn't call him Bill? Do you know?
It's just because some of the customers started calling him Mr. Bill because they couldn't say Robinette.
There you go.
It just stuck.
Yeah, it just stuck.
Robinette was a mouthful, so he was like, just call me Bill. And then it just kind of morphed into Mr. Bill.
Yeah.
Well, let me add, you met, your father's got so many great stories. Did you meet a lot of the wrestlers when they would come to town?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
There was actually a really interesting story where Jimmy Superfly Snuka was at the bar, and I was 8 or 9?
Probably like 8 or 9.
And he was dancing around, the dance floor and everything. So he grabbed me and put me on his shoulder. And I didn't know at the time, but he was 3 sheets to the wind and probably higher than a kite.
Yes.
But he was running around the stage.
running around the stage with me and running around the dance floor and taking pictures. And then Bobby Duscom had to come up and rescue me because he thought he was going to drop me.
Yeah.
That was a good one. And then, of course, a great story that we just absolutely die laughing over is the Jeff Garland story.
Okay.
Unbelievable stuff. Crazy Parker. I was like, oh my God, that's Crazy Parker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Jeff Garland's a great comic, a great
Yeah.
guy.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I will tell you, I was in the VIP room. Now, if anybody ever was in that VIP room, it wasn't that big.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Mo.
When you got Adrian Adonis in there at the time, and the day before he died, he was at Stale.
Wow.
So it was
Yeah.
Adrian Adonis in there, me, the Iron Sheik, okay, my buddy Steve Scordillis, and Mr. Bill. So,
Oh my.
Wow.
so you know what it was like. We're like this.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah.
Boy, this is cool hanging in this VIP room. It was great with all the great, and I met them all. Even Hogan came in there, Roddy
Yeah,
Piper,
Roddy
they all
Piper.
came in there.
Yeah.
Mr. Bill was just fantastic with that stuff. What happened with the news? What you got when he was going to play Santa for Obama? How did that come across?
Oh my gosh, he was over the moon.
Oh yeah. He called me. I was down in Texas. I was actually working at the jail, and he's, Tim, I'm going to be the national Santa Claus. I'm like, oh wow, okay, cool. And it was funny because we were sitting there watching it, and there's a part where he goes up and he hugs President Obama, and we're all like, oh God, let him go, let him go, let him
Yeah.
go, because we were like, they're probably pointing guns at Dad. They're pointing guns at Dad.
Thank God that suit is red. Yeah, we were like, oh, because my mom and myself and my daughter Cassidy, who was incredibly close to my dad, we were all sitting at a Denny's for the Wi-Fi, watching it, live. And when he wasn't letting go of the president, I think I actually said out loud, "Dear God, man, let him go," because I was waiting for him to get tackled or something.
Yeah, right.
But
Get that close to the president. If he didn't have that Santa Claus outfit on, right?
oh man.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, we had a lot of fun with that. He loved it. My dad is not a dancer, as that became very clear at some point during one of those national tree lighting ceremonies.
Reindeer paws.
Yeah, the weird dance that they did. I mean, that made it I think even Kimmel had that on his show.
Yeah. Well, you know
They
what?
were like,
It's for people that are listening, you might not know Mr. Bill Romanette also played Santa Claus, not only for charities and for kids and a lot of different benefits, but then, like I said, he was the national Santa Claus for 4 years for the Barack Obama when he was president of the United States. So that's a big deal to have on your resume.
yeah.
You're a Santa Claus, and
And Christmas was always a big thing. That was Dad's favorite holiday. I mean, our Christmases were
insane,
unreal. I mean, we had Christmas trees, and if you want to talk about someone going full Griswold, he went full Griswold on the front of the house. I mean,
oh God, yeah.
Every year we had a decorating contest here in Hanover Park, and I'd say for a good 8-9 years, Dad won it every one of those years. And then one day I was upstairs, I was sleeping, I was tired, and he comes busting through the doors. Tim, Roger has an effing train down in his yard. So I'm like, oh, what? I'm thinking he got like a metro train over there. And I go down there, and this guy had like this animatronic train with Santa Claus on it. My dad's like, oh, we got to take care of that. So he added even more lights. And then he added a sound system out there, and he put all these lighting controls where it controlled everything to the music. And the next day he goes, he's got a carousel. I'm like, okay. And then, it was just like a Christmas war between him and a guy named Roger.
Really was. It was,
and every day he would add something else to it. And then finally the competition came, and I was out with some friends for, just going out to have a little Christmas Eve with some friends. And when we were driving home, we were over on Irving Park Road, probably a good block and a half away. And all of a sudden we started hearing jingle bells.
Yeah.
Because he put put a 450 watt amp out in the yard and was blaring Christmas music. Oh, the neighbors! I could just imagine being a neighbor like, oh God, here we go again.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was actually. I mean, he was very sweet and very loving. But I'll tell you what, that man was competitive. When we were playing and stuff, we went to, Kennywood and playing those carnival games. Sure. He would not let us win. He'd kill us.
Yeah.
Very competitive. And, a lot of things, like you said, he wore a lot of hats. And a lot of people didn't realize that he was a musician for many, many years.
Oh, yeah.
And, being in the Stay Out Band for many years. I remember watching them at 3:00 in the morning with Lenny Samchek and Bob Stevens.
Oh, yeah.
And then of course going on with the band of Cue Balls or whatever afterwards, and he kept playing. I remember going to one of his birthday parties, a surprise. I walked in on him, and he was there maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
That was at PS Pub.
Yeah, that's right. And Mike Curry was playing drums, and Mike another Turry is another good friend of mine as well. And he was so proud of his jam sessions, proud of his musicians that he played with, proud of his family, proud of his friends. Um, there's never going to be, first of all, there's never going to be another Mr. Bill. There's never going to be another Stale. That time is all gone.
Yeah.
That time will never come back. And even when I was at Jilly's downtown on Rush Street, which is a Sinatra bar, which is just like Stale, but it was more the Sinatra stuff. And, but it was open late and all the celebrities would go there. But the thing is that we're so, it was just, you walked into Stale. If you were a regular, you were surrounded by people who knew you. It was like a family thing. And it was just so fantastic. Now, folks, the funeral wake is going to be at Salerno's this Saturday, April 1st. That's 450 West Lake Street, Salerno in Roselle. If you guys want to, everybody that's listening right now, want to come and show your respects to Mr. Bill. It's going to be a tough day for me just to show up there and see him. And I'm sure it's going to be very, very hard for you guys too. He did a lot. I just want to let you guys know that your dad is loved by many, many people. And just the people that reached out to me alone. And some people, of course, that reached out to you and the family. And there is a GoFundMe page for Mr. Bill. So please do what you can do. It's not the amount. It's just, when someone goes, it's tough. So what else can we do to try to help in families in need, whatever it is? And it's important to give, and that's what we're here for. Tracy and Tim, I want to thank you for your time. Anything else you want to leave us? One last story or something that
I'm gonna give you a story. My dad, his stage presence, how comfortable he was, all of that.
Sure.
But I'm gonna tell you what, my daughter made him break on stage. We were at Ocean City. She was around 3 years old, maybe 3.5. She used to love watching my dad sing, whether it was karaoke or up on the stage with a band. But we were at a place called Brass Balls, and we had been there for hours waiting for him to hit the stage. Yeah. And my daughter refused to leave. She was like, nope, not going until I see Pat Pat. Okay. So we were sitting there. Finally, he gets on the stage. And my daughter is like, she's sitting in the chair. She's got her arms in the air. She's woo, 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 woo. And when he started to sing, it was a song that she had never heard him sing. It was Snoop Pussycat. And when he hit that first row of whoa, whoa, my daughter literally grabbed her little purse, got up off the chair, because she liked when he sang like Vehicle and Mustang Sally and,
sure.
But she got up and she said, we can go now. And I said, well, but we need to wait. You need to say bye to Pat Pat. She looked at me, she goes, okay. And she walked right up the center of Brass Balls, walked right up to the stage, gave him a big old wave. Goodbye, Pat Pat. I'll see you tomorrow. He was like in the middle of the song, and he was like, whoa, 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 whoa. What?
Unbelievable. You know what? Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Ocean's Pit, little show about big things. Tracy and Tim Romanette, the daughter and son of the late Mr. Bill Romanette. He's going to be missed, folks. Bill, like I said, was friends to many, many people. The wake is at Salerno's this Saturday, April 1st, 4 o'clock. 450 West Lake Street. We all know where Salerno's is. Please come by and give your respect to Mr. Bill. And we also have a GoFundMe page. So if everybody's listening here, if you haven't gave yet to Mr. Bill, please do, man. It's guys, Tracy, and thank you, and Bill, thank you. Tim, thank you. I'm sorry. I know it took you guys late notice to doing this, but I do really appreciate it. And again, watching you, Tim, looking at you, man, wow, you are so close.
Everyone's saying the same thing.
Right?
I've had so many people say that.
Are you going to take on the hat and do some Santa for him now that Pops is gone?
I might.
You might.
Oh, Lord.
Which would be a great honor to him, and a lot of people that loved him would love you doing it too. So listen, please give my best to Darlene and the family. Again, your father was very loved, and thank you, Tracy and Tim. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you so much. And all we want to say is from the family, thank you for all of your messages. We truly appreciate them. Play loud, guys.
Yeah.
Play loud.
When it comes time for the benefit, blow the speakers. Just play as loud as you can. He'll love that.
If we
He
can.
would absolutely
We'll,
love
Play
that.
loud.
we'll let everybody know about the benefit that's becoming once we find it. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Bill. You're watching Ocean's Pit, little
Thank
show
you.
about big things, folks. Thank you. Want to say hello to some more people, everybody. Let's see, Loretta, how you doing from Bad Reputation? She did a great job at the Plains Theater with her Joan Jett tribute. How you doing, Patrick? Pina, Kathy, thank you so much for everybody watching. Sandra Argento, Edward Morris Vegas, welcome to Ocean's Pit. Kathy, how you guys watching, folks? It's great to see all you people here that are watching. We really do appreciate it very much. Now we got like that, like I said, we just had Tracy and Tim Robinette, which are the sons and daughters of the late Mr. Bill Robinette. All right, everybody, real fast before we bring on BJ Murray, let's remember, folks, that we also do a big benefit, folks, every Tuesday. You know how much I love dogs and how much I give to animals. Well, you know, every Tuesday I donate my time at the Almost Home Foundation, Irving Park in Schaumburg. That's great dogs. It's a great shelter, all non-for-profit. They're all volunteers, folks. They can use your help. They can use finance. They can use volunteers. They can use supplies. Please go to almosthomefoundation.org and give. And let's not forget, coming up Wednesday, April 12th, we're going to be at the Tap House Grill, 1243 State Street in Lamont, folks. It's going to be for the Ruby Whiskers Animal Rescue. Dan Nozak, of course, is going to be putting that together, and we're excited to be part of that, folks. It's going to be me, Tony Toto, and the incomparable Regina Karma. That's going to be the Tap House Grill, 1243 State Street in Lamont. That's Wednesday, the 12th of April. $10 cover, and all the money goes to the Ruby Whiskers Animal Rescue. There's going to be a silent auction as well. So I hope you guys can please come and give support to the animals. It's very important, man, because if you guys have animals, if you're animal lovers, you all know that it's very, very important that we are animal lovers, and they're like family, folks. So we got to remember that. It's very, very important. All right, so we got that. Couple other things, folks. Another quick sponsor. Let's thank Danny Mazzi from Armando Supermarkets, 925 Liberty Street in Elgin, Illinois. That's 847-695-0100. Armando Supermarkets in Elgin. And let's not forget our good friends, everybody from Michael and Gigi from Crash Champions Collision Auto Repair. For all your collision and auto repair needs, go to crashchampions.com. All right. Like I said, we had Tim and Tracy, the daughter and son of Bill Robinette, that we just lost a couple days ago. And then yesterday, we get another horrifying news that another great friend, another great Chicago legend, the great Bill Zemi, has passed away. I met Bill many, many years ago through Jilly's downtown on Rush Street, and to our next guest, my good buddy BJ Murray. Bill was a great writer, did a lot of stuff for Esquire magazine. He wrote the Regis Philbin book, the Frank Sinatra book, which we actually, The Way You Wear Your Hat, which we actually went on a road show with that. Well, me and BJ will talk about that. He was actually the only writer to get the authorization of the Johnny Carson book. He actually met Johnny Carson when he was before he passed away, and he gave him the okay to write the book. And of course, the book hasn't been finished, but I would have loved to read that book if it was done. I just finished talking. I did an interview with Dave Hoekstra from the Tribune and Sun-Times, and he did a nice page, a tribute to Mr. Bill, and he interviewed, but he's doing one for Mr. Bill Zemi too as well. Just horrible death, and we're going to bring my friend on. So let's say hello to a couple people we can. We got Ohio in the house, Santa Barbara in the house. Hello, Iowa, California. Jackie Gale, how you doing? Stella, Stacy, how are you doing? Patrick Haig, hello, New York. Hello, Wisconsin. Everybody, thank you guys for watching. Lillian. All right, so let's bring up my good buddy BJ. Let's hope this works.
Hey,
BJ, you there?
oh, we got it. All right.
You are
Hey,
in,
pal.
man. You are in.
Hey. Hi, pal. How you doing?
Good. Listen, BJ, thank you, number one, for being on.
Thank you for
Uh,
having me. Thank you
and
for having me.
and now, sad, man. You sad we lost two of them. We lost two of them. I don't know. I know that Bill was sick for a while, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. For a while, yeah, from what I know now, yeah, he's been sick. He was sick for fighting good fights for like 9 years, you
yeah.
know, like 9 years.
And you know what? You know what it's like, BJ. You know what it's like to fight when
Uh,
you're sick. And
yeah.
you've been through a lot, my brother. And look at you,
Yeah. So,
healthy, doing a great job, doing what you're doing with your life. Give us a little history before, like I said, I met Bill through you and Jilly's, and
right.
you wrote the book, The Way You Wear Your Hat. People ask me if you're going to read a Frank Sinatra book, that would be it.
That's the only book. It's the Bible. Yeah,
It's
it's the
the
Bible
Bible.
of Frank as we refer to it, right?
Right.
We
And it
refer to
wasn't
it
it wasn't a
just
story about his life. It was a story about how he treated his friends, how to tip, how to dress, all the stuff that he did, right, Billy? And
uh,
you put that tour together
right.
with Bill, and we went to
Yeah.
Dallas, we went to LA, we went to
Miami. We were in Miami,
yeah,
New
sure,
York. We were in
New
New
York.
York.
So
Started
give
in
me some,
Chicago. We started in Chicago,
yeah, give
and
me some
then the
memories.
big
What do
to
you got?
do was Los Angeles was the big to do was the finale in LA with the whole Sinatra family and Sinatra band and 1,200 people there in Hollywood that day. Remember, and Hefner is our co-host.
Yeah,
Hefner is
yeah,
our co-host.
yes, that's
With
right.
I mean, when I look at those pictures over the past week, it seems like yesterday, but it's hard to believe it was 25 years ago this year,
Yeah,
25 years ago.
yeah,
So, first I wanted to say my condolences, first of all, to your dear friend, Bill. He
yeah.
seemed like such like one of my kind of guys for
Yes, he
sure.
was. He
So
was.
my condolences to you. So I
Thank you.
just want to let you know that first and foremost.
Thank you.
And, you know, I was, last week, I haven't seen Bill in quite a while. We would only play phone tag on my birthday and his birthday. And oddly enough, back in October, his birthday's the 20, like 10 days after mine. He's October 28th. I'm October 18th, right?
Yeah,
So I left him a message and I said, hey pal, how you doing? And happy birthday, BZ, whatever, BZ. I love you, man. I look forward to seeing you. So I was by the pump room like that day. And I went into the pump room to just kind of take a look at it,
yeah,
and I sort of called him up and I called him back. I said, how much fun would this be if we resurrect the book 25 years later this year? Like this year, just a one nighter at the pump room or somewhere, because the book was so fantastic. It really was. It was
yeah.
on the New York Times bestsellers list for like 32 weeks or something like that
Sure, sure.
back in 1998, and of course he wrote, he got back to me with the typical Bill Zamius, way he talks and Swifty, oh, buddy of mine.
Yeah,
Man, I love you, Pally boy, but he just said, I don't know if I'm strong enough up to doing that. But I will keep in touch with you and you just keep doing what you're doing.
right.
And, I love you, kid. And, you know, he was for me, I've known Bill for like 36 years, man, from the Limelight. I've known him since the Limelight as a
Sure.
kid, right? So to me, he was always like an older brother to me. And I was blessed that he brought me into his circle. He has a great circle.
Sure.
Like Sinatra he had his crew, you have your crew,
Yeah,
I have my crew.
sure,
We all
sure.
have a great crew.
Yeah,
Billy has his, wonderful group of friends and colleagues, back home and around the country, like Bob Falls from the Goodman Theater and Bob Surratt and
Bob
Rick
Surratt,
Kogan
sure.
and the artist Richard Hall is one of his very, very dear friends who reached out to me last week before I wrote anything on my wall about him because I was deeply, deeply saddened,
Sure.
but I was prepared for what could happen, you
Yeah.
know. So it gave us a week to kind of get prepared, but it still didn't stop the hurt yesterday, or today.
Yeah.
And
And you know what? And you know what, Billy? And it'll always be in your heart. You're going to be listening to Sinatra songs. You're going to be thinking of
and
certain things, right? You're gonna
Every time I hear Frank's song, man, it's the first guy. He's the first guy I think about.
yeah,
I mean, for real, honestly, he's like the first guy I think about. And you know what I wrote on that thread last week? And I said, can you imagine if we had cell phone cameras, you, me, and him, for those dates when we were on the, especially like in Miami one day,
yeah.
just the stories between the three of us. And I've said this before on your show, we would have had 1 million hits a day, man. We would have had like
Well,
a
you know
million
what,
hits a
Billy? I'm going
day.
to tell you something, which something that you put together, which people we did Dallas, Texas. It was a
Right.
bar. I forgot what it was. A small little place, and we did the thing. And Bill was signing books, and people coming in from Texas. These people that were coming to the event were all dressed in mob outfits. Remember, they all had Al Capone hats and cigars because it was a Sinatra thing, and it was like.
Right.
We were
Right.
like in the middle of some, country bar,
Right.
but it was a cool. These guys were really getting into it, and they were really getting into it. I mean,
I
it was,
mean, everywhere remember, I was just, we were both young guys, you and I was
yeah,
25 years ago. So we were
yeah,
like our 30s, mid 30s, right?
yeah, yeah,
So I remember like everywhere we went along that route, like in New York and all the women coming up with the blue hair and the red hair and telling Sinatra stories, and like in Miami, telling Sinatra stories, in Dallas, telling Sinatra, and like the guys just like, like really just like
yeah,
Frank
yeah.
and it was brilliant. And then, uh, you know, that whole experience, for me, and I know you've done a lot of great things and wonderful things. You're still doing great things.
Thank you.
I've done some great fun things, but that whole experience for me personally was a humongous feather in my cap for me as a young kid
Sure.
at 35 years old, 36 years old,
Yeah.
because Billy was at the top of his
Right.
game, and he never forgot kind of what I had done for him at Limelight or China Club years prior.
Right.
And he said to me, I said, listen, I got this idea and I think it could work and I think it could be a real blast, because we originally did the first book signing on December 12th at Jilly's Retro
Yeah. For
in the
Sinatra's
basement.
birthday. Right.
And we had about 1,200 people show up
Yeah.
that day with
Yeah.
the whole crew, you
Yeah.
and Stan and everybody,
Sure.
Willie Rizzo, everybody was there. We had 1,200 people there that night in the freezing cold, like 10 below zero.
Yeah.
So a couple months later is when I started to plan the tour. So it was like, I think May, June, July, like the spring, summer of '98 is when we took off on the
Yeah.
road.
Because
And
it was in the summer. You're right. Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, and that day, like I said, that I mean, I'm laughing now because that day there was something about that day in Miami with the three of us and Zaza,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
story, that
Yeah. It
story,
was great.
you and me and him, and we're sitting on the plane. He's up front, I'm in the middle, you're in the
Yeah.
back. Zaza, Zaza,
You know,
and it was brilliant, man. It was
Billy, did
brilliant.
you know? Like,
You
I
know,
know his books. I got the Regis book. I wasn't a Regis fan,
yeah,
but I read it because Bill,
right.
incredible job. I know he did the Sinatra book, obviously. Did he do an Andy Kaufman book too?
Yeah, he did. Actually, I did that book for him
Yes,
too. I did that book thing at Harry's Velvet Room called Lost in the
yes,
Funhouse,
and he did that one,
which was sort of based on the movie Man on the
Man
Moon
on the Moon,
with
with
Jim
Jim
Carrey.
Carrey. Yeah.
You know,
Now,
but he spent a lot of great time on that book, and he said to me, I remember that he was very extremely proud of that book,
yeah,
the way it was written,
sure,
and the people he had interviewed, and Bob Zamuda,
sure.
who was Andy's guy,
Yes,
Bob
sure.
Zamuda. And I remember we did it at Harry's Velvet Room, and my boy Elvis showed up. Mark Husband came as Elvis because Andy loved
Sure,
Elvis.
sure.
And then the guy came dressed. There was a guy came as Tony
Yeah,
Clifton,
yeah, yeah,
and the guy came dressed as Tony Clifton. And me and BZ, when me and BZ saw that, man, we just fell out of our chairs like laughing, man.
yeah.
And because Tony Clifton was Andy's alter
Sure,
ego,
sure, right.
just a nasty curmudgeon guy.
Hey,
But
you know what?
this past week, I had a great opportunity to talk to some of his dear friend, a one girl, Kelly Higgins, who is our buddy Eamon Cummins' sister, who worked for Bill for like 4.5 years.
Okay.
And when she called me that night last Monday, she called me crying on the phone, of course. But by the time we got done talking 2 hours later, we were laughing we were like peeing in our pants, because she spent 4.5 years with Bill working on the Carson book with him,
Sure.
like which and she said it was like everything was so old school, and it was all like old school ways and footnotes and little notes here and there and there, and we had so many laughs. And then I had a great talk with a dear friend of his, who was Carrie Fisher's dear friend, who's a dear friend of mine. But Billy and Gary Fisher were good friends, and because Bill had wrote this book a lot of people don't know about. It was called the Rolling Stone Book of Comedy.
Okay.
And you should pick that up and maybe find it on Amazon.
Yeah.
Robin Williams is on the cover.
Okay.
And I did that book signing for him at the China Club.
Oh, so that's okay.
But
Okay.
he wrote for Rolling Stone for years. I don't know if you knew he was a feature writer for Rolling
I
Stone.
did not know that. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
Bill, do you know anything now? I know BJ, he got the right. I know he got the okay from Carson to actually write
Yeah.
the book on it, because that's amazing in itself that he actually got the okay from Carson to do that.
Yeah. I remember he called and told me that. And he said, I'm doing the first interview on Johnny after 10 years in seclusion for Esquire magazine. And we were going to do a thing with it. And we had talked about it. I don't know what happened. It was like, I remember when it came out too. It was like in the summer 2002. I remember exactly when it was. And he then he started talking about this Carson book. And the old guy, I don't know if you remember my old pally or his friend, Jim Agnew, who was this guy, kind of used to do his research, right?
Okay.
So Jim did a lot of the work on the Regis book for him and Jay Leno book and Andy book, and especially the Sinatra book.
Sure.
And so he was going to have Jim kind of help him with the Carson book, but he was so stoked about that Carson thing and that project. And it was taking him for forever. I mean, Rick Cogan, wrote a beautiful piece yesterday in the Trib.
Yeah,
our buddy Rick wrote a great,
and
and if any of your listeners want to really get an idea of the beautiful soul and talent and gift that he was, and humble and gracious guy and funny guy, Rick sort of summed it all up in his article yesterday,
You know what's something
but
about Bill?
that Carson thing was a big thing for him, and he just couldn't, I don't know, it took him it's still not done, 20 years later.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Sometimes it takes a while, but one thing I noticed about Bill, he was very, very shy too. He didn't like the spotlight. Didn't like all that spotlight.
Yeah.
And one of the questions I was going to ask you is that book can't be finished now. I mean, nobody can pick it up and finish it. Nobody close to him, maybe one of his partners or anybody. But do you imagine what that book would have been like? Because when Carson gives you the okay, I mean, it's going to be a book.
After 10 years of not talking to nobody, and he was 10 years in hiding after the show went up the air, and he granted Bill, of all people, the interview.
Yeah.
And I remember like it was yesterday how excited he was. And, we were like big brother, little brother. Yeah. So we laughed. And you're right. Billy BZ was a really funny, shy guy, but once he took a liking to you, and I think for me, I brought him out of that shyness a lot, and the whole story about how we met, I don't know if I ever tell you, it's the funniest story ever. Right. And if I could just share with you, because this is how we met. Right. So in 1985, when we opened the Limelight, right, he was a young writer doing like sidebar pieces for Playboy and and Vanity Fair magazine. So he wrote this article for Vanity Fair magazine, and Vanity Fair was Vanity Fair then. Not like there's not like 200 magazines back then like there are now.
Right, exactly.
So Billy, there was like 8,000 people outside trying to get in for the opening of Limelight. So I didn't know who Bill's name was. I mean, I was just a kid from New York. I was just coming here kind of cold. I had been here a couple months, but so he wrote that the Limelight Chicago opening was the worst party of the year party in Vanity Fair, right? Now this is Vanity Fair, right?
That's a big magazine.
So Peter, so we're like, what? We're like, so Peter Gation, the owner, came to Chicago because he was based out of New York mostly, but he comes to Chicago. So he comes down to talk to me and Russ, and he says, "Hey, BJ, do you know that guy?" I go, "No, I don't know that guy." He goes, "You don't know him?" I go, "I really don't know him." He goes, "You know everybody." I said, "I really don't know him." He goes, "Well, here's what you're going to do. You're going to get a hold of that guy, the writer, and you're going to ask him to come back to host the worst party of the year party in conjunction with the opening of the American Ballet with Baryshnikov and the opening of the Dome Room with this very, very famous artist, Mark Kostabi." I'm like, "What?" Me and Russ are like, what are you crazy? Yeah. So Peter's like, no, we're going to do it. So I got a hold of him. I forget how. I think I called Playboy headquarters. And I did touch base with him. And I called him up and I said, yeah, hi, this is BJ. You know, we'd like to meet you. Can you come by the club? And we'd like to talk to you about hosting the worst party of the year party, you know, 4 months later, right? And he's like, so he's thinking me and Russ are going to come up. We're going to throw him a beating like when he gets there or something like that. So he comes to meet us at the Limelight because he didn't know us, you know, he didn't know me, didn't know Russ, didn't know the crew. And so he comes to meet us and he's a tall guy, you know, as you know, 6'4", 6'5". So is Russ. Russ is like 6'4".
Yeah.
So right, like I tell you, probably took us 2 minutes before we hit it off. And he got the biggest charge at the fact that we were asking him to come host the work. And he was obligated. He was like, he thought it was the coolest thing ever and the funniest thing ever. And it was on that spot right there in that moment, our friendship was born.
Yeah.
So he became a regular upstairs in the VIP room with Gary Meyer and Johnny Brandmeier and all the Bears. And then I hosted his bachelor party up in the VIP room, right? And all the Stray Cats were with me that night.
Oh,
so we had the Stray Cats. So it was me, Russ, him, and the Stray Cats. Now we're doing shots of 7-Up.
yeah.
And we're giving him shots of kamikazes.
Getting them all screwed
So he
up.
must have had about 50. He had about 15 of those. And I remember his wife called me like 2 days later, like, blah, 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 you know, because he had been married to his really beautiful, well, his daughter Lucy's mother, long time ago. And the Stray Cats, man, I got that photo somewhere in my album. And our friendship was born there. And he became part of our kind of the Limelight family with us, you know, and other things, and other things. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Ocean's Pit, the little show about big things, talking about the death of our good friend, Mr. Bill Zemi. Of course, we have BJ Murray with us today. And BJ, any idea when the funeral, anything planned?
I think Richard, his buddy, will let me know. You know, you texted me yesterday, and I was actually on Mulberry Street with my doctor.
Yeah.
I was just getting something. I got bad allergies, whatever, and he could tell, like, he knew something was up. You could see in my eyes. I said, I just lost my friend had just passed over,
Sure.
and he said, just sit down, and gave me some water, and he was good enough to talk. And I showed him the pictures and a couple of photos of us, you know. And I don't know, from what I gather, I think it's gonna be kind of maybe a private ceremony. And then I think they're going to do a nice memorial, like Bob Folsom Goodman, Bob Surratt, Richard, whoever's going to be involved with it. And I hope that I think I might be one of the speakers that day to share some laughs and some stories, because I got a great one of us, with you two, Tom Hanks and Barry Manilow at the Park Hyatt Hotel in 201, and that was the funniest thing ever. That's all I'm going to tell you.
That's okay.
Imagine all of us converge, and none of us, there was no cell phone cameras back then.
There was nothing. I mean, if you think about even all those days, besides the Limelight and Jilly's, if there was phones back then and camera phone and all that stuff, it would have been good things. Good things. Of course, Bill is always going to be remembered. And one good thing that we have all his writings still. We can still go out and get the Andy Kaufman book, the Regis Philbin, the Jay Leno, the Frank Sinatra, the Rolling Stone stuff that he did, Esquire interviews, and everything that he did. And of course, we're never going to get the Carson book, but who knows? You know, maybe they got something. But there's something.
I mean, he was a big fan. Listen, you know, like I said, I was blessed that I was part of his inner circle. And I mean, as and I know he had a lot of love for you, man. And, you know, a lot of guys, Jilly's and everybody. But there were certain people that I know he sort of gravitated to very much. And you being one of them for sure. I just want you to know that personally.
Thank you.
You know, and of course, Stan and all the others. And, you know, I just said to like so many of my buddies yesterday, like 4 or 5 of my childhood friends all came to take me out for a little coffee and a little bite to eat last night because they knew he was someone special to me. And I've got a lot of special people in my life, as you do too.
Sure.
But he was someone very, very special to me. And, you know, I was honored to call him like a big brother. I was honored to call him my friend. And you couldn't ask for a more gracious, humble, down to earth, funny, witty. You're never going to see that kind of writing again in America. No, I don't think there's a writer in America who can write like that guy can write.
And he was,
you know what I'm talking about, right? You know what I'm saying, right?
Just to the point, you're never going to find another one like Bill. folks. And again, I want to thank you. We're running out of time. I want to thank our quick sponsor real fast. Let's thank our good buddies from Patriot Funding Incorporated. Folks, when money lending at its finest, commercial money lending when timing is everything, Patriot Funding Incorporated, called Dave Antonelli from Roselle, Illinois, 630-675-4730. And let's not forget our big one, folks. That's Ace Hardware, Norwich.
Yeah.
Plains, Evergreen,
Ralphie and Jackie.
Ralphie and Jackie. That's right.
Ralphie and Jackie, right on.
Let's
Yeah.
not forget, and don't forget Melissa up there, everybody. Folks, it's very important to support. Remember ACE, Norwich, Des Plaines, Evergreen Park, in Warrenville. Remember ACE helping neighbors before they were neighborhoods. With spring is in the air, folks, if you're looking for a brand new grill, because grilling is going to be around the corner, let's go into Ace Hardware, folks. Norwich, Des Plaines, Evergreen Park, or Warrenville, and say, hey, I want to grill my ace off. That's right. Grill my ace off, and you get $20 off any grill purchase. So make sure you remember ACE, helping neighbors before they were neighborhoods.
Yeah.
That's Ace Hardware. Yeah. Thank you, Raffaello and Jackie. BJ Murray, thank you so much for your time, buddy. And hopefully when you get back in town,
love you, man.
Let's hook up when you get back in town for a little cocktail or something and talk about good time. BJ Murray,
a lot to talk about.
You got it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. God bless you. God bless BZ.
Thank you, Beth. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
BJ Murray, folks. Also, I want to thank Tracy and Tim Romanette, the daughter and son of Bill Romanette, who passed away, folks. Thank you guys for watching the show today. We appreciate all your comments and your nice comments about our friends who passed away. We hope that you never have to lose any friends. Ronnie B and Deborah got a brand new song out. Make sure you check that out. My good friend Ronnie B. Anyway, folks, there you go, Albert. We're going to have now tomorrow will be a regular show, but today was about two friends of mine that I lost, the great Bill Zemi, of course, and the great Bill Robinette. And I want to thank out a couple other things, folks, some birthdays. Let's see. Luann from New York City, Francesca, her birthday. God bless you, honey. Teresa Hafer, if you're listening, happy birthday to your son, Daniel. Jason Zastro, a great jeweler on Jewelers Row. We buy all our jewelry from. Jason, happy birthday, my friend. Johnny Float, the wheelman, one of my very first limo drivers for many, many years. Johnny, I don't know if you're listening. Wheelman, hello. Vera Pisani, John Faso, if you're listening. Vera, the mother of Richie, of course, of Richie's Restaurant in Schiller Park. My good friend Vera, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to the country of Venice. Happy birthday, Venice. Happy birthday, Joseph Barbera. Remember the great cartoon partners of Hanna-Barbera. Of course, Johnny Quest, the Flintstones, the great Joseph Barbera celebrated a birthday. Big Ben Mazaris, folks, from the TV show, of course, TCM. I love it. Right before they show the Turner Classic Movies, he comes on and talks about the movie and everything. He's a great host. So happy birthday, Ben. Carol Kay, one of the great bass player women, one of the very first women bass players from the Wrecking Crew that played on all the Motown hits. She turned 88 years old. Very cool, important. Elton John, Sir Elton John celebrates a birthday. Norman Fell, I remember her from the Roperts, of course, celebrating a birthday. Nancy Sinatra Sr., of course, was the Frank Sinatra's first wife and the mother of Tina and Nancy Sinatra, celebrated a birthday. A great actor, Richard Conte, also in the Ocean's 11 movie with Frank Sinatra. Aretha Franklin, the Queen of Soul, celebrating a birthday this past weekend. And happy Greek Independence Day for all my Greek friends out there, folks. All right, we got to go. Tomorrow we'll be at Rosario's in Roselle with Tony Toto, 7 o'clock. Thursday, Donnie G's in Elmwood Park with Jerry Jams. Friday, Chicago Prime Steakhouse, Schaumburg with Tony Toto. Saturday, Norton's, Highland Park. That's April 1st. Return of Ryan O'Ryan. And Sunday, Caliendo's in Winfield. That's April 2nd. Guys, we got to go, but we will be back again tomorrow, same time, same station. Again, our prayers go out to Bill Zemi. Thank you, BJ, for your time live from New York. Our prayers go out to Mr. Bill Robinette. Thank you, Tracy and Tim, his son and daughter. God bless you all, everybody. Buy local, shop local. Please remember to support local establishments and live entertainment. And the great words of Sir Ringo Starr, peace and love. We need it more than anything in this world. Peace and love. We love you all. See you tomorrow. Same time, same station. Nick Sahajas, the piano man, is going to take us out. Bye-bye, everybody.
Time to go, it's the end of the show. See you later from Tony O.
Take care, folks. Have a great day.